Yeah, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, dog. Go. Get the out.
You just watched footage of a scuffle between the Proud Boys and the neo-Nazis within the Rose City Nationalists. That's a group in Oregon. And the scuffle took place in Oregon City, Oregon. The physical conflict took place in response to a pride event in Oregon City. The neo-Nazis apparently wanted to join the Proud Boys in their anti-pride protest. But as you can see from the footage, they were not welcome. Now the question is why? Some might argue that the Proud Boys and this neo-Nazi group have a lot in common. Why would they engage in a scuffle? Well, the protest was said to have been organized in protest of the Oregon City Pride events taking place at 7th Street. A flyer for the event promised that special guests would be featured at various fun events during the day and evening held to celebrate the LGBTQ plus community. So that was what the Proud Boys and the neo-Nazis were trying to protest. But the Proud Boys didn't want to get involved with the neo-Nazis. And I'm seeing arguments for different reasons, right? So some, honestly, mostly I'm noticing moms and middle-aged women who wanted to take part in this protest. They're saying, look, we want nothing to do with these neo-Nazis, okay? We have an issue with drag queens, we have an issue with these pride events, and that is what we're protesting. We don't like the optics of being associated with these neo-Nazis. We don't like these neo-Nazis. We think they're creeps. I don't know why they think the Proud Boys are squeaky clean, but that is what I've been noticing with some of the commentary and some of the comments on social media. But then there's something else going on that I think is really, really fascinating, and it's this allegation that the neo-Nazis who were attempting to march alongside the Proud Boys were actually feds. And the argument is that they're masked up and they're trying to infiltrate these protests in order to get the Proud Boys into some trouble. One of those people who's pushing this narrative is Benny Johnson on Twitter. So he tweeted that this is the best video on the internet right now, the video that we showed you earlier. Pro-America Patriot rally ongoing. Feds show up dressed as Nazis. Patriots force feds out of rally. Unmask the feds who panic. The Nazis cry, tremble in fear. Cops rush to save the feds. I'll give you one other example. Someone named Chris Martinson says, this is how it's done. Feds decide to photobomb a Patriot rally. Patriots are having none of their Fed LARPing BS, and you can read the rest for yourselves. So one of the things they point to is the fact that they're masked, but could it be that they're wearing masks because they're neo-Nazis and they don't want to be retaliated against by their employer? That's a possibility. Is there a possibility that feds infiltrate these types of movements and these types of groups? Absolutely. I mean, we've done stories about how that has happened with left-wing groups, how that's happened with BLM. So I'm not dismissing or discounting that. I just need to see a little more evidence before you automatically assume that they're feds, just because they're wearing masks.
Yeah, so this is a trippy story all around. So number one of the guys was yelling "you F words," the one about gay folks.
The gay slur, yeah.
Right. We don't want your racist crap around here. So they're like, okay, it's okay to be homophobic, and kind of the point of the event is to be homophobic, if you ask me. But they're like, but racism or being a Nazi is a bridge too far, and hence we're gonna kick you out. Now, whatever you think they were, feds or Nazis, the Proud Boys thought that they were Nazis, and I'm giving them credit. You see what I'm saying? Because if they're fighting the feds, then it's not that, like, it's interesting in a different way, but they don't get any credit for that. But if they think they're fighting Nazis, hey, a little bit of credit to them, right? And throughout, you hear people from the Proud Boys calling the Nazis racist. And that was a mind trip,
yeah,
okay?
That's right, yep.
And remember, Nazis are fascists. So in this story, the Proud Boys are also Antifa, because Antifa is short for anti-fascist. So punching Nazis and knocking them down and kicking their ass is as anti-fascist as it gets. So, man, this story combines everything. Now, which leads us to the mask. No, Anna's of course right. Wait a minute, you think Nazis wouldn't have masks? Of course the Nazis would have masks. It's Oregon. And because there's a third party involved here that you don't see on tape, and that's the left. Because once you take those masks off, the left is gonna go find you and gonna get you fired from your job.
That's right.
Okay,
yep.
so that's why they're saying. So by the way, I also agree with Anna. Is it inconceivable that some people in there were feds? No, not at all inconceivable. By the way, some of the people on the Nazi side might have been feds. Maybe all of them were feds. I have no idea. But by the way, there's no evidence of that. It's just speculation. But it's certainly possible given the history of what feds do in these kind of groups. But some of the guys on the Proud Boys side might have been feds, right? Because they infiltrate all the groups or potentially infiltrate a lot of these groups. And the guy, Benny Johnson or whoever said, oh, like while the cops stand around, while the cops help the feds. No, I watched the whole video. I watched several different videos. The cops did not get in there at all. Those guys got their asses kicked. And then they got their masks taken off. And then by the end, they were nearly in a sprint to get out of there. So maybe the cops came in at the very, very, very end. But by that time, they'd already crossed the street. They're already mostly gone, etc. So this was trippy in every direction.
So I was curious about where the accusation regarding feds, like this group actually consisting of feds, came from. Like, what's the origin story there? Because there was the other angle, which was that Patriot Front, another one of these right-wing groups, is actually not. It doesn't consist of normal people. That Patriot Front is just full of feds, right? And so I was wondering where that came from. And the claims come just weeks after Republican Representative, are we shocked, Marjorie Greene, tweeted that she believed Patriot Front, quote, looks like a Fed operation trying to create racism, white supremacy, and racial division where none exist, adding, take your masks off, you cowards. But Marjorie, homegirl, you're speaking alongside Nick Fuentes, and like, what are you talking? You get what I'm saying?
No, but I'm gonna defend her. Okay, get a load of this ironic defense.
Okay, did not see that coming, go ahead.
Yeah, to be fair to her, she did take her mask off. She went and spoke at the white supremacist event put together by Nick Fuentes. She knew it was a white supremacist event. She helped to edit Nick Fuentes' speech. So she knew for sure that it was a white supremacist event, and she didn't go with a mask. She had the decency to say, yes, I'm this vile a human being, and I'm gonna show you my face. By the way, the masks are really problematic. I get why they're doing it, whether they're feds, Nazis, Proud Boys, etc. And by the way, sometimes people on the left do it.
No, not sometimes. A lot of times.
Not all the time though, but a lot of times. So, but it's creating a situation like The Watchmen on HBO, if you saw that. But also it's creating the same anonymity that has made Twitter so toxic. Because if you're in a room and you see the other human being, it's really hard to be vicious to them. But if you are masked, either literally or proverbially, and we don't know who you are, that it gets way easier to be vicious. And so, by the way, one more twist in this story, if it was a left-wing group that had attacked those Nazis and punched them and kicked them and assaulted them that way, right now we'd probably be having a different conversation, and the right wing would be saying, look at how violent Antifa is. That those Nazis are doing First Amendment rights. We don't agree with them, but they got their First Amendment rights, and Antifa is violently attacking them. When the Proud Boys violently attack them, everybody's cool with it. So look, again, ironic credit to the Proud Boys, but I'm just giving you facts.
Look, I'm gonna be, this is what I think about resorting to violence in these situations. I don't like it. I don't like it when the left does it. I don't like it when the right does it. I have no love for any neo-Nazi group whatsoever. But there's gotta be a better way of doing away with them and making it abundantly clear that you have no interest in protesting alongside them, instead of just having the situation immediately devolve into violence.
100%, and I'm really glad you said that because I don't want to be misinterpreted. I don't mean ironic credit for assaulting the Nazis. I don't believe in that stuff. I don't believe in punching people first. I don't believe in violence at all. So it wasn't right of the Proud Boys to do that, even though those guys might be Nazis or whoever they are. But I'm saying ironic credit for being opposed to Nazis. And you might think low bar, super low bar, but were you sure they were gonna cross it, right? So, and it does give you a little bit of nuance. Like, is everybody in Proud Boys super racist, super fascist? Maybe not, right? Maybe some of them are, some of them aren't, some are in the middle, and some have a misguided sense of what they're fighting for, and some know exactly what they're fighting for, and it's not good, right? So it's a range.
And finally, the police did release a statement in regard to some arrests of people who were part of this scuffle. They say that during the disturbance, we arrested 2 people, 41-year-old Benjamin Kessler and 52-year-old Deborah Lum, both for disorderly conduct. So I don't know if those people were with the Proud Boys or if they were with the alleged neo-Nazis, not alleged, but the neo-Nazi group. But either way, names have been named by the police department and people did get arrested.
Yeah, and a super last thing is, guys, the right wing invented that they're feds. They have no evidence for it. We're just saying that it's not impossible.
It's not.
But it doesn't mean that they were feds. Just, again, zero evidence right now that they were.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.